everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of the Bodacity Show. I'm so glad you're here, and I'm glad we're here. And hello, Richard, and welcome. Happy to see you. Great black background. It's very clear and distinct. So let me tell you, everybody, today we're going to be talking about negotiating, and everything in life is a negotiation. You think it may just have to do with sales and your business, but nope. Getting your kids to pick up their socks off the floor and getting your spouse to have sex with you, those are all negotiations. So we're going to talk about negotiation and how to empower that with Dr. Richard Kaye. So let me first welcome you. I'm glad you're here. And I'm going to tell you his official bio, then we'll find out some juicy tidbits and why he does what he does, and we're going to launch into our topic. So Dr. Richard Kaye is a business growth strategist. For 25 years, he's been serving the entrepreneurial community, enhancing the culture of collaboration and cooperation. He's an internationally acclaimed lecturer, having presented seminars and workshops in Australia, France, Japan, and Russia, as well as in the United States. Richard's been featured on KTLA television in Los Angeles, California, and had a PBS special about him. His program, The Secrets of Empowering Negotiation, was featured in Forbes magazine. The Secrets of Creating Customers for Life helps entrepreneurs grow their business from the inside out. Richard resides with his wife, his new wife, in Taos, New Mexico. So get ready for an interactive, fun-filled half hour. We'll be prepared to take notes, and research shows that people who engage in the program retain 82% more information than those of you who simply listen. So grab your pen, take some notes, and it's an invitation here to play full out. You're going to have the opportunity to step into a more empowering model of communication and negotiation where everyone wins, which is really ultimately what we all want. So welcome, Richard. I'm glad you're here. So that's awesome. And it sounds like you get around. You've been presenting all over the world, which is very exciting. And I know you've been traveling a lot lately. So let's find out something about you that we wouldn't guess or wouldn't find on your website or in your bio. Some juicy new tidbit. So what would that be?
Well, one of my things I haven't done it in a long time, was scuba diving. And when I was out at Tony Robbins Resort in Namali, Fiji, went scuba diving out off Tony's place. It's diving in Australia, Greece, east and west coast of the United States, out of Montauk Point, Long Island. It was a fun thing to do.
That's awesome. I took scuba diving in Belize, and then again in Honduras, and dived in the Western Great Barrier Reef, the second biggest barrier reef in the world. Yes. And have gone diving with sharks a couple of times, great whites one time, and just nurse sharks the other. But nurse sharks are still a little unsettling, even though they're vegetarians, so they tell me, but I'm not sure I believe them.
Yes.
So that's very cool. And so let's find out who you serve and what you do and why you do it. So tell us a little bit about that.
My life has been one of being in service. When I awakened to that, I'm a retired chiropractor, and wasn't about headache and back pain. And well, that's interesting. The camera just shifted all by itself, and it's in hemorrhoids. The shift just caught my eye. It was about helping people improve the quality of their lives. And Jeanette, that's what I did. That's what I taught other chiropractors how to do. I taught that around the world. That's what the PBS special was about, because the work I was doing was so remarkably different. And when I retired from that, I think 15, 18 years ago, I'm not even sure, to serve the entrepreneur, to help entrepreneurs improve the quality of their life by growing businesses, raising capital, and learning how to communicate and negotiate so that they can take better financial care of themselves and their family. It's just an absolutely magnificent adventure.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit more about why negotiation matters to you so much. Where did that whole thing start? What was the genesis of that for you?
My first career this lifetime was electronics engineer. And we were dealing with the government. We were a subcontractor for the government. And I didn't know what I was doing. Most people, I assert, from people, when I do this, I ask who's had formal training in negotiations. People, not me. I was dealing with the government, negotiating with the government inspectors, negotiating with vendors. I didn't know what I was doing. And then when I left that and became a doctor and practiced, back then in the early days, I did insurance, negotiating with insurance companies. Then I shifted that to quality of life care and negotiating with patients, practice members, to continue their care so they can continue to improve the quality of their lives. And you made a brilliant statement opening up that it even involves getting the kids to pick their socks up off the floor. Jeanette, everything we do is a negotiation. And ladies and gentlemen, I assert the first negotiation you have every single day is with yourself. When you wake up, am I going to get out of bed or am I going to stay here? That's a negotiation. It may be with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You and I negotiated, when are we going to do this event? Is it going to be tomorrow? Is it going to be today? Obviously, we selected this day at this time. Most people think negotiation is you say one price, I'll say another, we'll meet someplace in between. How's that working? Generally, it doesn't. That's a win-lose. That if I win, you lose. Then I started teaching what I call, level 2 negotiation. I win and you win. Much, much better. Then I got to level 3. I win, you win, and our cohort wins. Now I talk about level 4, Jeanette. I win, you win, our cohort wins, and humanity wins. Ladies and gentlemen, what would happen to this entire world if everything you did was involved around, does it serve humanity or is it just for me? Does it serve the global? We wouldn't have this crap we're having politically or war. We wouldn't have that if everyone recognized there's more than enough, there's massive abundance. Anything else is what Zig Ziglar used to call stinking thinking, and that's scarcity.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, well, let's make that really practical. How does that apply if I'm dealing with a client and negotiating a coaching fee, for example? Here's my rates, and they say, oh, I can't do that, or can we do payments or whatever? How do we tie that into that thinking about win-win with the two of us, which is where a two-way negotiation is? How do we tie that into win for our community and win for humanity?
So let's talk about one of the things you started to say is a prospect client says, I can't afford it. And by the way, if you stay around for a little bit at the end of this, we're gonna give you a gift. Have you ever been in a negotiation? Of course you have. And someone said, I'll have to think about it. You may have said that. Your negotiation counter may have said that. I'm going to give you at the end 5 tips, a PDF of 5 tips, and that's one of the answers to that. So let's make an assumption that you're talking with a client and you quote a fee. Now, one of the things I'm huge on is eliminate the word dollars. Dollars has a huge emotional tag. Let's put that to the test. Well, I didn't put it to a test. I believe it was University of Chicago did research when they removed the dollar signs. Jeanette, you've been in a restaurant at some point, yes?
Yep.
What is the one thing that there are so many of on the menu when you open it up?
A lot of dollar signs. Yep.
A lot of dollar signs. They did one thing, Jeanette, they took the dollar signs off the menu. What do you think happened to the sales? You're correct. They increased. They didn't change the price. And I'm not talking about high-end restaurants, where it's hundreds of dollars and there is no dollar sign anyway. This was an ordinary shop. And when I teach live, I have a PowerPoint showing a coffee shop, and all they did was take the dollar signs off. I have a picture from Walmart, of all places, identical item, one with the dollar sign, one without the dollar sign. The one without the dollar sign sold better. Hello? Now, it's the same thing when it clears the bank. So let's make up numbers. I'm going to make up numbers here. And someone, you're out in your audience here, and you're a coach or a mentor, and you're selling, because that's what you do. Nothing moves until somebody sells or buys something. And nobody wants to be sold. We have a program called Attraction and Enrollment. Wouldn't you rather have people attracted to you and have them enroll in your program than sell the heck out of them? You and I my hallucination here is you've been on webinars and such, and there's one that I'm on, and because I'm there to contribute, I lead some of the breakout rooms, and in between every speaker, it's sell, 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 sell. Let me tell you what, buy this, and it's like, enough already. And we've all been there. What if you played in the space of attraction and enrollment, and people become attracted and then enroll? And it's not just a simple word change. So now let's go back to the practicality, because that was the core of your question. That was your question. Let's say you're selling a coaching program for $2,500. So please be acutely aware. I did not say $2,500. Did not say $2,500. I said $2,500. And it's a second thing when the prospect says, I can't afford it. So I'm going to set that aside. And I'm going to give a real estate example here, and then we'll take it right back to the coaching. A realtor selling a home might say, and by the way, car salespeople and realtors, they're trained. They learn, they know this stuff. This house is on the market for $675,000, no dollars. Now watch this. I'm going to tie it into the coaching question. However, I have a motivated seller, and she may be willing to take $75,000 off the price. Pause. Remember, the word dollars has a huge emotional tag. So we amplify the impact, $75,000, which makes the house an even $600,000. And of course, it'd be $6.75. Doesn't make any difference. So I'm just scaling it. So if you have a coaching program for $2,500 and you're on a webinar or something, and by the way, I'm not selling you anything here, ladies and gentlemen. We're not going to, this is not a get a credit card out thing. And let's say that you're on a webinar, however, or you're on a platform and you want to offer a discount. So you say, my coaching program is typically $2,500. For those who are participating in this program, I'm going to take $500 off. That makes it an even $2,000. The easy way to remember this, Jeanette, and listeners and viewers, is dollars are in the discount. That's an easy anchor. Dollars are in the discount. So in the old days, a client can say, that's too much money. So there are, and any person selling anything can be obnoxious. What do you mean it's too much money? It's the old images of the used car salesman, right? So try this on. It's $2,500. It's too expensive. Compared to what? Compared to what is it too expensive? Compared to you doing the same thing and over and over and over again and getting the same response? And I'll tell you quite transparently, when I was practicing chiropractic and I would quote someone my office fees, if they said it's too expensive, I would say, compared to what? Comparing to not being able to move, comparing compared to not being able to play golf, make love, go bowling. Compared to what is this too expensive? So that's one way of healing it. It's back to my chiropractic days. That's one day of countering that. Another way is, gee, that's interesting. Why is it too expensive? And then you shut up. Most of us, included, we have a difficult time. Stop talking. When you stop talking, ladies and gentlemen, the other person feels obligated to fill the space.
Mhm.
The data shows that an average conversation, 7.5 seconds of silence, someone's going to talk.
Mm.
So instead of defending your price, let the other person defend why.
Mhm.
There's a classic story about a woman going to a swap meet, and she finds this beautiful macrame. It's hanging up and it's all intricately woven. And I don't know if that's macrame behind you, but it sure looks like it could be.
Mhm.
And she says to the, which is what reminded me of the story. She says to the vendor, how much? He says, $75. She says, $75? That's a lot. It's just a piece of string. The guy takes one end and unravels it. He says, madam, the string is free. They are not paying you for time.
Mhm.
And there are myriad stories that support that. They're paying you for what you know. My fees were predicated on 4,000 hours of professional school to be a doctor, the undergrad to do that, the training, the residency, no residency, the internship, the office.
Mhm.
That's what they're paying you for.
Mhm.
Is there any reason on this earth that someone could pay $2,500 to get a haircut in Beverly Hills? Well, there's two reasons. One is someone gets bragging rights. They go to the party. Oh, I just spent $2,500. What are you, crazy? The other thing is the person delivering it can charge that because they know she knows she's worth it.
Mhm.
So when someone challenges you, it is nothing to do with you, ladies and gentlemen. It's that person's perspective coming from scarcity.
Mhm.
It saddens me that we will negotiate with the mom and pop next door, but we'll go into Walmart or Nordstrom's and pay full price. By the way, when I used to wear suits and I was on stages, I negotiated at Nordstrom's. I negotiated at Best Buy. If you allow that it is a game and have no attachment to outcome, that alone will change everything. And I'm going to tell you a story about that. Many years ago, I spent 30 years living in San Diego, which I was about 20 minutes from Tijuana. The culture in Tijuana is one of negotiation. That's the way you do life there.
Mhm.
My then wife and I went down and we saw this beautiful plant rack that I knew exactly where it would fit. I had the place, I saw it in the kitchen.
Mhm.
So how much? He says, $20. I said, 10. That's what you do.
Mhm.
1975, 1025, and we're pissing away time. We get to the point, 15 and 15 and a quarter, $15 and 15 and a quarter. Arlene looks at him and says, give me a freaking quarter. Let's get out of here.
Mhm.
Remember what your desired, what your goal is. My goal was to get that thing. I would have given him $40 for it. Did I care? I don't mean to be flippant, but it was worth that to me.
Mhm.
I got so caught up in the fun of the negotiation. So we gave him the 15 and a quarter and left.
Mhm.
So ladies and gentlemen, is your goal, and using your example again, to secure the client or to embarrass? And I don't know about you, but I've seen people do that, embarrassing. What do you mean you can't afford it?
Mhm.
You have to. Don't ever do that. The Talmud tells us we don't see the world as we are. We see it as, and we don't see the world as it is. We see it as we are.
Mhm.
So when someone is coming from scarcity
Mhm.
and thinks they can get another, I'm using this example, $500 out of you.
Mhm.
Here's another negotiation tip. You always are a choice. You can turn around and walk away.
Mhm.
I don't mean in arrogance. Everything you do has got to be from a heart-centered, soul-centered, really good place.
Mhm.
So what other questions have you? Because that was a really good question.
Well, thank you. I was going to say we only have a little bit of time. I know we started a bit late because of my technical issues, but one of the things that you were talking about, because I'd love to actually pursue that managing objections, because that's a big issue for many people. But I know these 7 words are very important to you. So these 7 words have the potential to increase what you get paid or decrease what you pay. So tell us what those 7 words are.
Okay, and I'm going to put this in for you in the chat here. So this is the gift to give to people. Stories are where people learn. Many years ago, someone asked me to teach the work I was doing through his series of programs and workshops. We did all the stuff, where, when, how often, how much time. He was going to cover all expenses. And it ultimately came down to the question of how much are you paying?
Mm-hmm.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, write this down. This is important. This will change everything you do.
Mm-hmm.
Jay made an offer, and you'll get an idea of how many decades ago he offered me $500 a city, right, for 3 different cities. I said 7 words. Write this down, ladies and gentlemen. You'll have to do better than that. Like that, in a heartbeat, Jay said, the best I can do is 1,000. Hello, what just happened? I doubled my income. And there's an antidote to this, and I'll share that with you in a moment. I just doubled it. If Jay had taken my program, or ladies and gentlemen, as you go out into the world, you find people who have invested in and taken the program, the counter, the antidote to that is exactly how much better do I have to do? And then you shut up. If Jay had asked me that, I might have said 650, maybe 7. I never would have doubled it. But when you remember earlier we talked about turning it back to the person.
Mm-hmm.
So if anyone ever says that to you, the question is, well, Jeanette, exactly how much better do I have to do?
Mm-hmm.
And they have to explain it now.
Right.
So Justin, Jeanette, I saw you writing it down, ladies and gentlemen. Just in case you didn't, I'm going to say it again. You'll have to do better than that. And the antidote is exactly how much better do I have to do? Now, here's the key. You say it from a place of love.
Mm-hmm.
Jay, you'll have to do better than that. Not arrogantly, Jay, you'll have to do better than that. That's a deal killer right there. And that's a metaphor for life. How do you live your life? Come from, I keep saying, from a heart-centered place, coming from a soul-centered place. Don't see the person as a person, see the soul. You don't know what they've been through. You don't know if they had a fight with their loved one this morning and they're in a lousy place. Allow them the quarter that you would like if you were in a shitty place and you wanted someone to respect you.
Mm-hmm.
So exactly how much better do I have to do? It's a place of inquiry. Okay, very good question. What else have you got? Let's see.
So there's a couple things, but I want you to tell people about your gift. I did put it in the chat, and tell them how they can get it in case they don't see the show notes. So tell us about your 5 tips.
Okay, 5 tips. It's a PDF. There's a whole program. It's 44 segments on negotiation. And I've already given you 1 of them or 2 of them, and this is, I believe I said, someone says to you, I have to think about it. Mm-hmm. If you're selling a house, a car, a piece of jewelry, and a prospect says, oh, I got to think about it. You want to know how to handle that, wouldn't you? Mm-hmm. So you can download those for free. It's HTTP, no S, HTTP, Richard Kaye, RICHARDKAYE.com/5-tips.
Awesome. And
feel free, ladies and gentlemen, to reach out for me. I help people grow businesses. My email is rkaye@richardkaye.com, RICHARDKAYE.com. And let's see how you can grow your business.
Awesome. I've already just downloaded it. Looks awesome. So before we wrap up with a final thought for everyone, Richard, I'd love you to come back to, because I think I'm assuming that you touched on it in that last comment you made about when we come from a space of love, when we come from a space of being a stand for ourselves. I kind of have two questions. One is, for many of the clients I know, many women especially, they struggle with giving away too much. So they struggle with charging their own worth and their value. And so there's that balance of, well, if I'm really caring for the other person, putting myself in their shoes, et cetera, then they tend to give themselves away. And especially if they're attracting, because they're coming from scarcity, attracting clients with little or no money. How do you tell people, or what's your advice for people in terms of standing your ground in negotiations, but also coming from that loving space? Because often love is so associated in our society with sacrifice, self-sacrifice.
Which is so, and the antithesis of what life is really about.
Mm-hmm.
A very dear friend of mine, Cheryl Plouffe, I love this expression: be in demand, not on demand.
Mm-hmm.
Be in demand, not on demand.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you serving when you're giving yourself away because someone can't afford you? There are enough people who understand that saying I can't afford you simply means their priorities are wrong. Mm-hmm. People have written tomes about spending, I don't drink coffee, so I don't even know how much, I'll make a guess, $4 or $5 for a cup of Starbucks every day. Mm-hmm. But they can't afford to go to a workshop or a program. Mm-hmm. So I assert, Jeanette, that when they often, sometimes someone just doesn't have it, that's reality. And we'll deal with that in a moment. Most often it's people's priority. What is important? Mm-hmm. When I practiced, I had a young man who said, I can't afford your services, but I know the value and I really want to come in. He found out I drove a Porsche, had a 911 red Porsche Targa. He says, what if I detail your car? Mm-hmm. So, okay. There was an energetic exchange. When I found out he was doing it every time he came in, I stopped, I rubbed the paint off it. But he was so committed. He found a way to make it work. And now I go back to an earlier comment on attraction and enrollment. If someone is attracted to you and they see the value of their services, they'll find a way to do it. They will absolutely find a way to do it. There's a classic story when Maharishi Mahesh Yogi was talking to his followers and came up with the idea for Maharishi University in Fairfield, Iowa. And they said, but Maharishi, where's the money going to come from? He said, from whatever it is now.
I haven't heard that one, but that's a great line. From wherever it is now. Oh, that's funny. Okay, so let's end with just a comment about tying it back to where you started at the beginning about negotiation also serving humanity. So me, the other person or the other party, community, and humanity. I'm assuming, but please, correct or elaborate, that a lot of what you're talking about is when we come from that attraction and perspective of love and abundance, that ultimately puts that out into the world, versus when we're coming from power and win-lose and scarcity. Is that part of what you mean when you're talking about how negotiations can serve humanity?
You put it so beautifully, Jeanette. Yes, we all know people who are insignificance. It's me. It's the world, and I'm not talking about ego. I'm talking about the world is about me, and I'll tell you how wonderful I am. And you have to hire me. My wife, she's newer than I in the entrepreneurial space. She used to work with a woman who said, you need me to teach you how to be spiritual. It's like, really? Who anointed you? Mm-hmm. And when people tell you that you must hire them, that's the first clue that they are totally about themselves. They want your money, they'll take it. One of the things we're rigorous in our programs and publicity is we want you to know that you'll make more money by working with us than you're going to invest with us. That's paramount. When you look at the bigger picture, now who does that serve? Yeah, it serves us perfectly when they make the investment and become our client, and we can help them get in the newspapers and magazines and all those things. But only if they're going to generate money, unless it's a passion project. I want to do this. So when we look at the other perspective, and who does it serve? And again, I assert we wouldn't have this stuff going on in the Ukraine right now. We wouldn't have the political turmoil in this world if we were about serving humanity, not at self-sacrifice. Be in service, not a servant.
Beautiful line. I love that. It's a very simple but profound distinction. Be in service, not a servant. Love that. Love it. All right. Is there any last word, although that's a pretty good mic drop to end on, but is there any last word you'd like to leave everyone with?
We can leave it there.
All right. I think that's a good one. So be in service, not a servant. And I think that's a beautiful way to claim not only your heart, but your value at the same time, to value yourself while valuing the other. It's a win-win when we do that. So thank you so much for being here, Richard. I appreciate you. I appreciate your heart of service showing up and sharing wherever you go. I know you do it a lot, and really appreciate you being part of this community as well. So please, everybody, try that out. Those 7 magical words of, you'll have to do better than that. And I know for some of you that might take, a little bit of a gulp and, clenching your butt, but do it anyways and try it and see what happens. You can do that from a space of love for yourself as well as for the other. So thank you for being here and inspiring this bigger game. I appreciate it. Have a bodacious week, everybody. And remember to tune in at the end of the month for our Financial Literacy for Women panel discussion with a bunch of really awesome experts who are going to help us with mastering the money that you make when you do these kinds of negotiations even better. Awesome. Take care, everybody. Have a bodacious week. Bye for now.